Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Just realized I've got a background on. Let me see if I can turn that off.
You look like you're in San Francisco.
That is so funny. Sorry, I didn't realize I was a little late here. I apologize.
And hey, no problem. I expect that we're going to have a number of other people just joining us here in a moment. So we'll give another minute or two. But Nate, I just wanted to thank you for joining us here. Um, we have a community of most everybody is a small business owner of sorts within the community. And now we're living in a time here with this whole situation with COVID that many people are taking this time to focus on making their business better. They're taking the time to just do what they can to improve processes, procedures, do marketing. Because they may be limited as far as other things are concerned. But on the other hand, there are some people who are doing extremely well because their businesses are very web-based at this point. And so we're really looking forward to having you as our guest, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no, happy to meet with you guys and talk about some marketing topics. And yeah, we're in the same boat. It's pretty crazy. As a company, we have about 20 staff, and our team is already primarily remote. So switching to, the adapt to the quarantines and the stay-at-home orders wasn't very hard. But we've seen endless turmoil, like I'm sure many of you have. We saw clients that didn't renew that we were really planning on, clients that really cut or tried to renegotiate contracts. So a lot of impact on revenue. Other clients started up a little sooner than we expected. And so we're fortunately, some of those clients that are doing well this time wanted to, reinvest. But I mean, it's turmoil, right? It seems like every day for a long time, there's been something new to grapple with. So it's a fun seat to be in.
Well, I can tell you that within the Life and Air community right now, there are probably two different camps. There's the camp that is sort of taking a back seat and waiting and seeing, what's going to happen. And then there are others who are saying, you know what, there's going to be great opportunity on the other side of this. And if I hit the ground hard now, I'm going to be the one who is prepared. I'm going to be ready for it, and I'll be able to take advantage of it. And so we're of two different mindsets. And I understand both of them. I think that if every one of us was going to be honest, we could look ahead and recognize that most of us have no clue what's going to be going on in 2 weeks. And so there is a degree of uncertainty. And so one of the reasons why I love the topic that you're going to be sharing with us today is that there are some really effective ways that people can begin to start marketing and improving traffic to their websites and doing things that don't cost nearly as much as some of the other options out there. Like pay per click is, highly risky today, or doing a direct mail campaign is very risky. But to learn from you and some of the techniques that you do, we have some people who have started to do very well with SEO, and they have been able to bring their cost per lead way down, as far as things are concerned, from what they were spending with pay per click and things like that. So I'm excited. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and just sort of turn it over to you. Can you just tell us then a little bit about who you are, your background, your company?
Yeah, happy to. Our company focuses on organic search specifically. We are an SEO agency, and we have been for a while. And honestly, I haven't figured out where to change my background. On a personal note, I hurt my foot 2 weeks ago too. So not only is this quarantine happening, I'm on these wonderful crutches that are 6 or 8 inches too short. And I can't even get to my better set up home office in the back of the basement because, well, that'd just be about 30 minutes of effort each way just to get to there. So I'm, making it in my second home office here in the corner of the bedroom. So anyway, life continues. Profound Strategy has been around about 10 years. We started out as a partner to other SEO agencies. We actually started out doing link building back when link building was worth doing, to be honest with you. And we evolved over time and continued to grow. We were lucky to make some really great connections that opened up the door at a number of large companies. And we are now a focused and specialized SEO growth agency. So all we do is organic search growth, and in particular associating organic search to new business, new leads, to revenue. We're looking at the connecting businesses' ability to see organic search be one of their highest value channels. Like you mentioned, it can be cheaper per lead, certainly cheaper for the traffic. We want to see SEO become one of the highest, if not the most valuable digital marketing channel for our clients, and then see that channel not just drive, of course, traffic, but drive a true impact on their business. We work with a number of large organizations, which is a lot of fun, and small. We are working right now with companies including Atlassian, Adobe, with their B2B projects like Marketo, Magento, and Analytics, and their other, they call them their commerce products. And also, we recently started working with Lyft, which is a ton of fun, and they're going through a lot of change. They're in the news with layoffs and furloughs, but one thing that all of our clients have in common is that they're looking to make more out of SEO because they recognize it can be a real valuable, lower cost channel when you play it the right way. I think, and we also work with a wide variety of smaller organizations too. Those are the big guys. We're excited about those. Some, like our Atlassian project, is actually not that big, just kind of in this regular routine. So we also work with small companies, small businesses, usually with companies that have any form of a digital marketing team. Anyway, I've got a whole set of material. I'm going to walk through things with you guys just to try to be really educational and transparent. And I'll start sharing my screen. The biggest thing, and a pet peeve that I have with SEO, is that most people have, a lot of people have had a bad experience with it. And they've had a bad experience with SEO because someone or something gave them the wrong idea, and they ended up wasting a lot of time and effort. And I'm sure you've seen that, where you can just waste a huge amount of resources on SEO and not see any movement because of it. And so it's really frustrating. So I guess one of the things that as Steve shared with me about this group, I'd love to share, if nothing else, just some pointers to prevent you from wasting time or effort on useless work, useless investments. It's very easy to spend SEO time, SEO energy, whether that's you doing it or someone else. It's very easy to just throw that into a bottomless pit. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to focus on growth activities. Focus on growth activities that apply in the modern, in terms of like a modern SEO view of SEO. So a lot of tactics have really gone by the wayside. SEO is by far a highly valuable channel. There's a lot of stats that support this. I can geek out on those stats for quite a while. But even the leads that come from SEO have a tendency to convert better. And for every 100 searches on Google, 5% result in a click on an ad, 45% result in a click on an organic result, on an organic listing.
It's interesting that you say that, because I intentionally try to skip by the ads because I know they paid to get there.
Right.
And I feel as though going to the people who organically made it there is where I'm going to get the better result for myself.
Yeah, it's so true. And this study is put out by an outside group. It's not Google giving us this stat. But according to this outside group, it's interesting because it actually did increase. It used to be 3% click on an ad. Now they're saying it's more like, it was like 4.8%. But there is a factor of trust that's really strong. There's another stat or study that showed that that users are very unlikely to have a high degree of trust in paid ads and in what they are clicking through to. So just like you said, where obviously people trust that organic listing, but you got to earn that organic listing obviously to get it. The way SEO used to work is, all right, you're gonna love this, guys. You gotta head out right now, please. Thank you. I am talking to 20 people right now. Go close the door, Annabelle.
We're all doing that at home, so don't worry about it.
I know. I told my wife this morning, she's like, you've been really patient with the kids. I'm like, I know, it's because everyone gets it right now. Like, no one cares. Everyone's like in the same boat. So anyway, I was gonna lock the door, and they're like, but that's a rule, Dad. You can't lock doors. I'm like, okay, I won't lock the door. All right. Traditional ranking factors. And yeah, Stephen, thanks for interrupting me. Sorry, I guess I just kind of got in a roll. Man, anytime there's questions, throw them in the chat or just raise your hand and start talking. I love to talk and interact and stuff. I also love to talk. So if you don't cut me off, I will keep going. I'll warn you. But chat or shoot questions anytime. So traditional SEO is based on ranking factors, and that's a big problem today because ranking factors are no longer how you can meaningfully engage with SEO. Well, what in the world does that mean? Well, traditionally, SEO was this game of you're trying to figure out, there's a man behind the control board, really a whole team of men and women, engineers, PhDs at Google that were behind this control board, and they adjusted these dials. And like, hey, put in your keyword in the page title. Okay, we're going to make that a more influential ranking factor. We're going to turn up that dial. Oh, hey, you know what? We found out that wasn't really great for quality, so we're going to adjust it down a little bit, adjust this. All these ranking factors, how they influence search was controlled by people, all right, humans. These engineers sat behind the control board and they made these adjustments. And if you fast forward to SEO today, search engines today, you can talk about Panda, you can talk about Penguin. There's this whole, even in the publicly available, like the news, the announcements for the last 6, 8, 10 years, this trend is incredibly clear. It is Google's moved into, AI, right? Machine learning. And this thing called rank brain. What is that? Panda and Penguin, these algorithms that are now real time part of the algorithm. What does all that mean? Well, even going back 4 years, these industry studies that tried to study ranking factors across the board, they started saying, you know what? We can't do these studies anymore because there's no clear connection anymore. Like, we're not finding clear guidance like, hey, put your keyword at the beginning of your page title, you'll rank better. Like, that's what the correlations they're looking for. Those correlations ceased to exist because the ranking factors no longer apply across the board. They no longer apply. And so today, and so the illustration here on the right is there's a different algorithm for each search result, each category, each niche, each topic. I'll talk about the user need. There's a different algorithm, if you will, governing each of those search results. And engineers aren't adjusting each algorithm. Oh no, it's, algorithms teaching algorithms, and engineers are up here shepherding the whole thing, right? And so different algorithms are really essentially governing different ranking factors are essentially governing each search result, each topic area. And so that means, what does that mean for us? Well, number one, if you're engaging with SEO from a standpoint of ranking factors, like, oh, I should just put my keyword in the URL and I'm going to do better. Or I'm going to buy an exact match, a domain like mykeyword.com, or, and you're just honed in on ranking factors because they always work. They should work across the board. This works. Really, the effectiveness of that as a tactic is approaching zero. And that's where a lot of the wasted time happens. And so if you look at it from a standpoint of, and I use this graph to just hammer home the point, traditional SEO alone no longer moves the needle. If this were traffic, traditional SEO alone no longer moves the needle. So as we're working with clients, working with projects or advising, businesses in many different, scenarios, you used to get from someone like me, you used to get a whole list of ideas, right? Oh, sure, SEO. Well, let me pull out my notebook here, and I've got about 700 ideas for you. Try doing 30 or 40 of these, and hopefully in a year it'll work, right? So go on down the list. And as we've really made it our focus to be extremely disciplined and set a high bar for what we actually recommend. So in terms of technical SEO, we used to, recommend, you might find all sorts of a whole list of recommendations. We've said, we're only going to recommend working on mission critical, high priority stuff, the stuff that'll move the needle. And today, there's less and less of it. As we audit large sites, as we audit small sites, the items that we actually say this is worth doing, that this is a technical SEO work worth doing, there's less and less. There's technical SEO work you could do, but it's like it's not going to impact anything, right? It's not going to move the needle. You can play with your code all day long, but actually seeing that lead to growth, that's not what leads to growth. So what leads to growth today, I think there's a new view we can take of SEO content and our website. And this new view starts with understanding the user need. And so the user need, and by the way, if you want to talk about technical SEO and kind of deep dive, I've got a few resources I sent to Stephen. There's more on our site, because I know some of you might even want to disagree or debate, and I'd love to debate, these things too. But I'll send you more material on that as well. You do need a certain foundation of technical SEO work to be accomplished, but it's a not a large foundation. Doing technical work doesn't drive growth. Typically, does not drive traffic growth. Typically. So what does? The new foundation is a user need. So there's a problem with keywords. The problem with keywords is that a keyword that a user is typing into the search doesn't necessarily represent the need that they have when they go to search, right? Usually when you go to search, you have a problem, you have a question, you need an answer. I've been researching all sorts of, like many of you probably have, SBA and Paycheck Protection Program and all these things over and over again, 100 different subtopics and questions, and talking to people about it. I have a need when I type those keywords into search. I don't type that full need into search. I'm not typing a full 3-sentence need, right? But I have, and so the need is different than the keyword. And also for one keyword, there can be multiple user needs. And that's the real challenging part. And here's an example. If someone searches social media, you can see that there are, marketers trying to figure out, should I do social media marketing? There's marketers that are asking, hey, I need a list of tactics and strategies and ideas for this. And those are different, distinct needs that we found in our research. And then you also see, using the same keyword, someone saying, I'm looking for actually a social media network such as Facebook. I'm looking for news about it even. Like, oh, what was the latest, Facebook got hacked or whatever. What's that news? So there's distinct needs. So a user need is important to that a new foundation of modern SEO, because it's how we can begin to operationalize and think about where the market is and how I can engage with that in a meaningful way. How do I begin?
If I can, I just want to, point that out, because that's really important for everybody to understand. I mean, that's like a new term. The user need is something that we've never really have discussed before when it came to marketing. And we've tried to hone in on, the avatar and the perfect avatar and things like that. But so is this a term that is being used regularly, or is this something that your company has really identified and said, no, this is the way that we need to do it moving forward?
Right, sure. So this is what has been talked about for many years, is a related similar term called user intent. User intent is that same idea, which is basically, is it like a purchase intent? Is it a learn intent? Is it a navigation intent, right? Am I trying to navigate to the pizza store? Am I trying to order frozen pizza online? Am I trying to find a pizza recipe? And so, like the keyword pizza. So user intent is a term that's been used a lot and is used in general. It's been used even by Google in their search quality rater guidelines. If you really want to geek out on that topic, there's a lot to dig into there. The user need is our own flavor of it, and it's a maybe to us it's the logical next step of user intent, but it's harder to build. User intent is nice because generally people talk about it from like a keyword has an intent, right? Like this keyword, the intent is to purchase or navigate or learn. The challenge is that even one keyword can have multiple intents. Just search pizza. I'm sure I don't know. I haven't even looked at this. You see, or Pizza Hut. Whoops. You'll see map listings, and let's see what we see. A map listing, obviously the navigation intent, like physical navigation. You'll see Pizza Hut, Yelp, TripAdvisor, and then, okay, great. So this is all, oh, and then you got pizza, Wikipedia, right? So you got different intents related to one keyword. And that wasn't a perfect example, but user needed takes that one step further to say, how do we not just think each keyword has one intent, but really each keyword could have multiple user needs, and each of those user needs can relate to dozens or hundreds of keywords. So it's our take, kind of the next step. And I've got a great worksheet that you can use, and I'll talk through how to identify user needs. But the reason I identify them is that for every user need, for every keyword, there's hundreds of thousands of competing pages, right? And you got to be the best to win the top. Well, the challenge is that if you're competing and you're trying to like muddle together multiple needs in one page, you never win. You just shot yourself in the foot. You're not gonna go anywhere, especially if there's two learn intents. Like I gave you the example here earlier with social media. One is I need to figure out if it's worth my time. What's the ROI? What's the spend and return on social media marketing? The next is I need to find strategies, tactics. They might sound similar, but even these related can be distinct needs. And when this happens, if you try to tackle two or more needs in one page, from a search standpoint, you don't win top rankings. You just don't. You just shot yourself in the foot. It's like there's no chance now. And so looking at one user need across many keywords, what we found time and again, hundreds, even probably now thousands of user needs that we manually identify and catalog. It's 3 to 5 pages that are winning. And so your job as a marketer, your job in SEO is not like, oh, I need to, the idea of this generic, list of like if I just check these boxes off, I'm going to win a lot of organic traffic. That's no longer the case whatsoever. Really, you have to be the best in the world page, the best in the world for this user need, and you need to beat these 3 to 5 pages. And that should lead, not like, okay, you got to get to the top of them before you see any results, but that's what drives steady, reliable growth. And that's the framework to really approach. And that's what we call certified content. Excuse me, that's another term we use, I guess. We create, we sell, we strategize, we do certified content. We don't just do content. It's certified because it's going through this research-backed process. But really, it's best in the world content, best in class content better than what your competitors are doing. And so if you're going to do SEO, the work that's worth doing is not just technical in nature. You only need to achieve a reasonable foundation, reasonable technical foundation, reasonable technical baseline. I got some topic articles on that. It's difficult because a lot of SEOs still want to say, throw a lot of SEO work to, and recommendations. I get that, but you only need a reasonable foundation. And then your content needs to be better, more engaging, more helpful, better to real people than your competitors. And if you set that as your mark and you kind of build your engine with that in mind, if that's how you're building your engine, you can then see reliable, scalable growth. And I'll give this example. This is kind of how we start to SaaS out project plans. And then I'm going right through the whole process here. I'm just going to try to lay it all out for you. But we're looking at, like, as we engage with clients, right, we're looking to say, what's your return? And we're able to say, it looks like your cost per click, here's what you can see in your cost per click when you're spending on certified content versus other channels. You can achieve extremely low cost per clicks. Over time, it takes time to engage it. You want to see movement right away. I think, by the way, if you ever hear someone say, well, wait 12 months and we hope this will work, just run away. Just run away. That's basically saying don't measure this work. Don't measure the impact of this work. That's bad business, right? That's why SEO has been bad business, or a lot of people have seen it as bad business for so long, is because SEO, groups and whatever, we would say, oh yeah, we'll do this. We hope it works. It should. It probably will. It's a best practice. Well, that's bad business to just throw money at. Hopefully it works, right? You do want to see movement early on. And if you're, can't build that track record, then maybe there's not enough experience to justify the project. So we want to track against movement very early on, but then see this really, achieve really excellent, traffic cost, if you will, and relevant on target, well converting traffic. So what does that look like? Again, I've talked a lot about technical SEO. Technical SEO is still frustrating because I've got one post that I'll share with you guys where we list like the 5 areas that most mission critical items come out of. There's still a lot of nuance and gray areas in technical SEO where it's hard to sass out, especially if you're not in it every day. It's hard to sass out what's worth doing. So in terms of your technical SEO work, the most important thing is to ask, will this prevent traffic from growing traffic? Will this unlock traffic for me the day we do this? And if there isn't clear answers, clear examples that really address those questions, then just be very careful what you invest in terms of technical SEO. I don't know. I haven't looked at everyone's websites here. If you've got just a real old, outdated website, maybe you've got a lot of technical work to do. Certainly, but this is kind of the new reality, is that this is not where the opportunity is. So you want to start by really identifying your user needs. And I've got I don't have the link. Let me grab the link. I'll share with you guys a template for this, and we can spend another half hour kind of talking through the process in more detail. And I'd be happy to do that, which is, how do you identify your user needs? Or even more importantly, how do you transform a big old list of keywords to user needs? Because when you're looking at a list of user needs, that list is a lot more meaningful and engaging and something you can work with than your keywords are. I'll show you the list of user needs that we've created for ourselves. These are the user needs that, as an SEO agency, what do you want to call it? Modern SEO, next gen SEO, right? The next, someone the other day called it the 3rd generation of SEO. I'm like, okay, I don't know, but we're trying to, we're not trying to do SEO the way it was done before. We're trying to do this, so when we're doing SEO, how do we start to engage with people that are searching, right? Obviously, nobody's searching next gen SEO, or there's a little bit around like SEO growth, but there's a lot of SEO topics. Sorry, it's just taking a second to load. Plenty of SEO topics. And so if you're to look at all the keywords and try to group and organize all the keywords, I'm sure you've done this for your business or thought about it or seen others. If you look at the list of keywords, it's just like an endless list of keywords, and it doesn't even tell you much about the real people behind those keywords. So instead, transform the keywords to user needs. Here it is in the system. I've got this worksheet you can use for it. But when you're looking at it from a standpoint of user needs, you can say, okay, people are coming to search. There's about 800, not very many, about 800 people a month going to search, learning why rank tracking tools are unhelpful or misleading. That's not a great example. Let me jump to some better examples to start things off. Learn how much SEO should cost, right? Great topic, right? There's about 5,000 searches a month where people have that need, and they're going to pages about learning how much SEO should cost. Great topic, right? I mean, that'd be a great topic for us to be in front of. Probably. It looks like those are mostly like small businesses, brick and mortar businesses, from what we can tell. So it's not a high priority to us yet, but it's a priority, right? And certainly somewhere we want to be. Well, what keywords are they using? Here's just a short list of the keywords related to that user need. There's dozens here. There's dozens more, hundreds more. In fact, pages that are generating a noteworthy amount of traffic, hundreds or thousands of clicks a month, they're easily generating. I've seen pages that have like search consoles tracking more keywords than there are clicks for a page, right? Because they're just showing up on all these impressions. There's thousands and thousands of different keywords related to one page, one user need, right? But we know that there's about 3 to 5 here URLs that are winning line share of that traffic, and then a sprinkling of others. And so these are the guys to beat. Let's go at a higher volume example. Find an SEO tool. No, let's find, or if you see one here you want me to click into, just let me know. That's purchase. Let's look at a good learn one. Learn how to do keyword research. No, I think I had a better one too. All right, learn how to do keyword research. Let's do that one. There's about 19,000 people a month searching with that need in mind. And how many? There's a bunch of competing URLs, but again, I'm sorry, I glossed over this. This number here is the search volume that's going to each URL. This is the search volume. So again, you can see that the top four URLs are getting the lion's share of traffic for this. And look at that, Moz beat out Google. It's not always the case. We're not afraid of any of these big names. We can take them. But you see there's the lion's share of traffic is centered about on 3 to 4 URLs. So your job is to beat them. Again, what keywords? Here's a bunch of tracked keywords, tons, even 50 or so here, tracked keywords. So there's dozens of different keywords. So again, if I were to look at this keyword list, it's like, I don't even know where to start, right? That spreadsheet, that keyword list can become really overwhelming and unhelpful rather quickly. But engaging with this from a list of user needs, you can decide, do I want to be in front of people with this need? Do I want to be in front of people with this need? There's another one that we're working on, purchase SEO services. Well, of course we want to be in front of that group, right? That's a kind of a buyer intent. But a lot of these needs are learn and investigation. And certainly those we're looking at, can we convert? Can we get their email address? Can we nurture them, right? So those are the sorts of questions you need to ask, is not, do I want to rank for this keyword? Do I want to rank for that keyword? That's if you really stop and think about the question, do I want to rank for this keyword? That question is not a good question, I think. It's just not a good question, because the real question is, who's searching for that keyword and where are they in my buyer journey, right? Who cares if the keyword describes me, right? Like SEO, right? Like, do I want to rank for it? It doesn't even matter if it describes me. I'm just using myself for example, because that's easy, right? But who cares if it describes me, but rather, who's searching? Are they my ideal buyer? Used to the avatar, ideal customer profile, whatever that, however you're describing your ideal buyer. Are they my buyer, and are they in market for what I have to offer? Those are the questions to ask, and this view of your landscape can identify that, can give you that extra degree of insight beyond keywords. Again, I've got a worksheet on it. We can set up a whole time, and we've done this. I'd be happy to get even one of our editors, on board, who really do this training with clients and staff, and we could walk through it with this group too, if that would be helpful, how to really identify those user needs. Then what's the goal? The goal is then to beat the winners, right? So I used to use the analogy, the reasonable baseline of technical SEO gets you onto the playing field, right? And so if your whole focus is like technical SEO and structural and keywords and playing with, all these ranking factors, it's like you might have gotten yourself onto the playing field, congratulations, but you're like, you have no practice. You don't, you're on the soccer playing field, but your legs are scrawny. You don't have any endurance and no practice, no skills, right? And so are you going to get that ball into the goal? Probably not. So that's where a lot of people are finding themselves, like, great, they're on the playing field, congratulations, but they're not winning. And it is a game that, needs to be won, right? There's winners and a whole lot of losers. And so how do you do that? Well, you can study the winners and begin to reverse engineer why they win. And this is illustrated. This is another whole process. Again, we can walk through this in some more training follow-ups. We'd love to do it. We'd be more than willing to. This illustration is really just high level. If these are the pages that are winning right now, I'm sorry, these would be the pages that are winning right now. You're looking at those winning pages, and you want to ask yourself questions like, why are they winning? What are all the winning pages doing? What are all the winning pages not doing? Right? What types of media, images, videos, or no images, no videos? What are they doing? What are they not doing? What are all of them doing? What are most of them doing? What are none of the winners doing? You can study the losers too. The problem is there's thousands of them.
Yeah.
But if you look at the winners, looking at the winners, you can say, what are they all doing? And how can I learn from that? Also, that goes all the way down to topics when you're talking about content. If you're talking about a landing page, is it a sales page? Is it an engaging page with different elements that you flow through, or a product page? What are they doing with their product page? If it's a piece of content, an article, not only how long is it, what media is in it, but also the topics. And sales page and product pages too. What topics are addressed? What topics are included? What details are included? If it's a page about the White House, are they talking about security? Are they talking about the current president? Are they talking about history? Are they talking about the China in the China room? Are they talking about whether or not they are hiding missiles under the grass? Are they talking conspiracy theories, or are they not, right? You can, if you're trying to rank for White House, you can talk about all those topics and more. The West Wing, the First Lady, or you can talk about none of those topics and talk about, none that I listed, but maybe others. So the question is not like, what should I, if I were writing an encyclopedia, what do I need to write? That's not the right question to ask. That's how most of us usually approach it. I'm writing the content for this, therefore I'll write the encyclopedia and I'm gonna make it really good, really high quality, the best I can. I just had a much more welcome interruption. My beautiful wife walked into the room. Sorry for being distracted. I had to give her that call out because I can't bring her on dates right now. So I'm sure you all understand. So, what topics are they addressing? What topics are they not addressing? So that gives you structure to then say, well, this is what I need to address. This is how I need to address it. I'll give you another example. What about video? Video used to be discussed as a ranking factor. And it was said for a long time, hey, you should have a video if you want to rank well. Has anyone heard that before, right? Put a video on your page and you'll rank higher. Because Google likes it, because Google will, kind of index it, and you can do some schema around it, because people will land on it and they'll watch the video and they'll spend more time on your page. And then therefore Google will see that lower bounce rate, higher rankings, all these, honestly, theories. That's all theory. And it's good theory. It's helpful. It's insightful. But the problem is, well, there's that, include a video, there's do this, there's do that, there's an endless list. We have a PDF that we did, like we wrote several years ago. What are all the factors of high quality content? We came up with 77 of them. What are you supposed to do? Do all 77 things on every page? That's nonsense. You got junk, So the real question is, hey, does the winning content include a video? Well, if all the winning content has a video, you should probably have one. If most of the winning content includes a video, you should probably have one. If all the winning content doesn't have a video, you almost certainly don't need one, or it might even hurt you if you included it, right? Because Google's ranked thousands of pages. Google's sent little blips of traffic to all these pages to see what people engage with best. And guess what? There's pages with videos for that user need. And guess what? They're not ranking, right? So you can really learn a lot from that and really learn about your market. For the larger organizations, we've done this. We'll produce what we call a search intelligence report, which is all the insights we gain from it, including topically and subtopics. It's really market research that comes from this. And we've produced these search intelligence reports and key topics. Some of our larger organizations grab that. They're like, oh my gosh, we had no idea. We're going to put this in our sales team training because we didn't know our market thought about this with this topic. We had no idea that's how they saw this topic. So you're really you can gather insights. Because again, Google has figured out, it's not just luck, it's not. Google's figured out that people like these pages better than the thousands of other bad ones, or not as good ones. I shouldn't say bad. There's probably thousands of other good pages. These are the very best.
Nate, I have somebody who has a question for you. Jackie, go ahead.
Am I muted?
No, you hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Haha. I was just wondering, what was the URL of the page that you went to get the results, where you saw the keywords and phrases and how they ranked, and then what were the top resulting websites? Where do you get that information?
Sure. So this is our tool that we've built, and we're really building it, and we really want to advance this. But this is kind of a back-end tool, and we make it available to clients. We're actually going to be probably making this the output of this data if you wanted to do some research. Like, it's not a tool like it's say, oh, go here and free trial or use it or anything right now, unfortunately. But we are playing with ways to maybe give you all this data in this way and figure out a way to make it more accessible. So yeah, it's not a tool yet. We're getting more and more people asking for it though, which is great. What I will send you in terms of identifying user needs and all this data, I'll send you a worksheet in spreadsheets. It's can be a little work to identify these. We've got a worksheet for it. And that's a follow-up training, like I mentioned, we'd be more than willing to do with a group. But this is our back-end tool that we haven't really made a way or haven't figured out how to take it further than being in the back end at this point.
So, and I want to just go and throw something in here real quick for you, Nate. You're being very generous in what you're sharing with us right now, and you're willing to give tools, and it appears to me you're not holding anything back. And it's, where people can go off and they can go do this on their own. But the reality of the situation is it's a lot of work, and it can become a full-time job almost to do this and do it the right way and to learn and to educate. And so for many of the people who are in our community, they prefer a done for you service and to have somebody, okay, I know I can figure this out on my own. I know I can do it, but at the end of the day, I'd rather just pay an expert to do it for me. And ultimately people could go to you for that. I want to share with you what a lot of, and this is not our entire community, but this is going to comprise an awful lot of our community, are going to be real estate investors and people who have websites that they utilize for purchasing homes, and their goal is to try to capture the motivated sellers in their markets to come, to their website and say, hey, I have a house to sell. And I'm only throwing that out there at you, not asking you to even change gears, but if you can maybe keep that in mind, that would speak very loudly to at least 50% of our audience as far as what they're looking for. And they're competing, to get that lead. They want those leads above, all others. And just to throw out, many people today, we've had discussions where their average lead, their cost per lead per house that they buy, they are spending anywhere from $3,000 and we've heard upwards of $9,500 per house that they purchase. So I share that with you just to say we've got a community of people who are not scared to spend money. They've come to realize that on the SEO side, those costs are dropping significantly. They're coming way down when they can generate their own leads through organic searches. And so it's of high interest to quite a few people.
Sure.
And I'm guessing that you could probably help a lot of them with that and helping them to develop their content to shoot them to the top of those pages.
Sure. Yeah, it's great. It's great context. And it's important to me to always, kind of really, walk through the process and train and guide, because number one, we got to think about this a lot differently than we have in the past. Number two, one of SEO's problems, and any, I think you should always be wary if there's a black box, right? Like you should never buy a black box, like input dollars, get all your dreams come true, right? And SEO has been that for too long, or sold like that for way too long as well. Plus, honestly, I learn a ton from the whole process. But yeah, this is all we do. We walk through this entire process with companies, again, large and small. We've been working really hard to make our work and the way we engage even more tangible. So instead of saying, like, for example, if you worked with agencies, we don't want to say, oh, buy a bunch of hours, we'll do a bunch of stuff. We're getting away from hours. And we're more saying, you know what, if you need a technical audit, clear guidance of exactly what to do, to just get a technical audit, we've got an exhaustive audit that's more, usually more bigger companies and enterprise. We've got a light audit where we look at the key areas, like 95% of the problems worth doing are found in this really light audit. Maybe 99% of the issues that you need to address. So we do an audit, we do monitoring that's really light and straightforward. And then in terms of this sort of content work, we can go full circle. We can produce certified content, do all the research, all the strategy, all the work, produce certified content, put that in your hands. Or we can just gather the data and give you access to the data as well. So, but yeah, I also, no one likes to sit in a sales pitch either. So I like to walk through all this if I can.
Well, we love it, and I'm sharing that with you to let everybody know that they can hire you, and to give you an idea of the types of things that they are very interested in. We have people in the dental industry who I know are very interested right now with what you have to share, and so I have there's a couple more people who are asking questions. Can I ask you guys to put those questions in the chat, and I'll plug them in at the appropriate times?
Sweet. Sounds good. And maybe I can bring, and maybe we can hold those questions. I can bring this to bring this in for a landing, and
Yep.
then we can kind of let the conversation go from there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So that's the goal, right? And again, if we were to think about, follow-up training, what do I do? There's the idea. There's really two big steps that, it's user need it. Well, three, right? Technical SEO, which is kind of a hairball. I don't really recommend, trying to educate yourself much at all technical SEO today, because it's such a hairball, convoluted, but that's one area, right? Certainly there's lots to learn there, but easy to get distracted. The two ones that really make a difference are transforming keywords to user needs, identifying your user needs, prioritizing those, working with those, figuring out your user needs, and then creating content that's better than anyone else. We use like the search intelligence, which is that research and investigation, figuring out what those best content are doing. And then again, we call it certified content just to distinguish it from, content or SEO content. We call it certified content. And certified content, meaning best in the world, best in class. You're really like, you've researched, you're standing on the shoulders of your competitors. I'll give you one more analogy, then move on. Everyone in the world who wrote this content either sat down to write it, used all their creative energies and all the best practices they could find, or maybe a small group, right? And so everyone has the same starting point, just brainstorming, right? Let's brainstorm, let's figure it out, let's write some content. Well, you can be better than that because you can figure out what your competitors are doing and climb onto their shoulders and then make something better. I will, I'll come back to that. Okay, let me just bring this in for a landing and we'll start doing questions. I'm getting a bunch of questions in chat too, so that's great. We'll have some fun. And that's kind of the process. Like, that's how you build your engine, really, is categorize your keywords, because there's always a lot of keywords. We call them demand gen families. Categorize your keywords, transform them to user needs, do your investigation of the best performing content, and that really leads to certified or best in the world content. And then the growth expectation from that is this earlier slide I shared. We have a forecast model we use because we track hundreds of these out in the wild, of like how this like certified content really grows over time, and it has predictable growth. Other SEO optimized content, we've seen time and again, hundreds, thousands of optimized pages that just fall flat on their face, right? It's like spaghetti in a wall and nothing sticks. Certified content, we found, has a predictable growth expectation that we can track against, and we can say, if you're a small company looking to drive growth, you can do a little bit. If you're a large company looking to drive big growth, you can work those numbers backwards and figure out exactly what you need to do to achieve those growth goals. I'll walk through a couple more examples. Like, these are just some slides of the examples like I shared with you earlier, and then we'll start questions and such. Here's a user need. I need to learn what an SEO company does. We think there's about 31,000 at least search volume a month, a whole variety of keywords for it. If you look into that user need and start to peel apart what the best performing content's doing, some things come out that are pretty clear. You need thorough long form content. Everyone says long form content, but it's not always true. This content has a facet of being up to date. This is content that says last updated, and for 2020, for now, and there's aspects of it that are specifically timely. There is a short video on the page, and it appears to be, you can kind of see here, in this case, yeah, they're lower on the page too. Even placement of that video can be rather telling. Is it the first thing you see? Is it somewhere else? That can be really telling. The content that's winning this user need does tend to have a short overview video. And then there's the subtopics, right? Technical SEO, on-page, off-page. That's something that's really interesting. I don't talk about on-page and off-page SEO. Like, I haven't really brought it up in this whole time, right? I don't talk about it. It's kind of an old way of thinking, I think, just not a helpful term that I just don't use it that much. But the pages winning talk about on-page and off-page SEO. So I have to address that, and I have to, talk about things in that context and talk about those topics.
Can you just clarify on-page and off-page SEO? I just got a text.
Sure. Well, in this case, you can Google, hey, what does an SEO company does? And there's some great articles about it that break it apart. Soon, our article will rank there, but no, I'm just kidding. On-page SEO is basically everything you do on your website. Off-page SEO is like link building, something you do on someone else's website, or list management, if you're going to manage your local listings, etc.
Good.
Okay, now the next user need, another example, just to kind of get this framework hammered in. I need to find a list of SEO tools, about 30,000 searches a month, a whole variety of keywords for it again. Some of the and this is just a sample of what we're seeing in this research. We're going to build out a full outline. We're going to do 2, 3, maybe even 4 pages of research from this. It's really what's needed and what drives real growth. You can see there's an emphasis on free tools. They're not talking about like expensive enterprise tools. They're talking about a lot of the free tools and the freemium tools in this content. So if I want to win it, that's what I have to do. It's a long list, comprehensive. Description and product screenshots are always a part of the winning pages. They're grouping them into categories. They're including external links to the tools. So again, if I want to win that page, those are some of the things I need to do to win it. I can't just creatively start from a blank slate. I really need to learn from that. Another way, find ways and steps to improve my SEO. It's another need. The winning pages are defining specific, the types of steps that are actionable. They're creating a thorough list. It's typically using a listicle like 15 ways or 5 ways, etc. And they're walking through those. There's a lot of custom images in these. Custom images illustrating the points. There is video in most of these, and again, something that's usually updated annually, or at least the year is changed every year so that it appears up to date. So again, showing those examples, a couple examples of how we win this. And what's amazing is when a lot of SEO companies, it feels more and more like spaghetti on the wall. We're seeing more and more consistent success. Here's an example. We did our search intelligence, certified content. We won a knowledge graph box within a week or 2. Actually, no, it says 6 months. I'm sorry. Oh, I exaggerated. That's terrible. I'm sorry. In 6 months there, we won that answer box for the term there. Really challenging, very technical term, right? Here's another answer box that was won, and so we're seeing that the more we do certify this process of research, we're able to more predictably, reliably predict in having an impact, driving growth. I really don't like basing a marketing strategy on throwing spaghetti against the wall. All right, I'm done. That's all I have to share. So let's start tackling the questions. And I have a favor to ask too at the end of the call for some feedback.
I had a question here well, this wasn't a question. This was a statement. They just said that they didn't have any more questions for you. They're just more likely to hire you to let you do it for them.
Sounds good. Happy to. And I know too, it can be like overwhelming, but at the end of the day, once you get into the routine of it, like I'm no longer doing all this other SEO stuff. It's not it's not a black box. We can really put actionable steps to it, but I appreciate that.
All right. So do you have questions in front of you in the chat? Do you want
to? I do. Yeah,
them?
Sure. So Tim said, how does SEO factor geographically? You have in real estate, you don't really care about ranking nationally, but you're focused on your state, your city. So the local localization of search results is really fascinating because Google has really localized search results and really just folded that in a way that doesn't even like come out and hit you in the face as much. So if you're searching for like pizza, you're going to see maps, you're going to see unique listings. Real estate related terms and the types of terms where you're still seeing a lot of like regular search results. When you are seeing regular search results, not always the case, but you're seeing regular search results, what you find is that your rank does change based on the location of the user. You can pop up and rank. So, and really what that means is the same framework applies. You are still studying the national competitors when those are showing up for your user need, but you'll also find if there's a real local influence, you'll find like, oh my goodness, like how is, my competitor down the street ranking pretty well, and Zillow, near Zillow, how in the world is that happening? Or whatever, it might be. And that's because of the local thing. And I'm sure you're familiar with how Google has been kind of blending local influences into regular search results. So because of that, it's actually good news because, again, there's no tricks to say, oh, well, you just throw your zip code down to the bottom, or put a, the old SEO tactics, like put a block of zip codes at the bottom of your page, or put a block of all your, city names at the bottom of the page. Like, no, that's kind of gnarly. So the same framework applies. And really, you just start to apply it specifically locally because you're studying the competitors that are showing up locally, and you're trying to beat those competitors. Someone said, what is the role of linking to great content with some value-added content as opposed to generate it from scratch? Okay, I'll talk about link building. There's real quick, like linking and link building. There's two types of links, right, that you can talk about. Inbound links, getting people to link to my website, and then what do I link to outbound? Like if I'm going to write great content, how do I link to it? Both of them as a tactic are kind of not really helpful, right? I'm kind of a wet blanket in a lot of ways, but building links externally used to be, that's actually how I started this company. All we did was build links. Doesn't really move the needle anymore. It doesn't. I gave it up years ago and moved my whole company away from it because I just kept on seeing, I was working with Skechers at the time. And I kept on seeing, like, we got them on page 1 for shoes in 90 days. They're like, hey, we're not on page 1 for shoes. Can you get us there? Sure. It was pretty much links. Guess what? That became impossible, right? By 2013, 2014. And the influence of links has only declined ever since. So links are important. They're kind of this foundational thing that does influence search still. But as a business owner, especially a small business owner, I would not invest any money in getting links to point to your site. I believe without a doubt you would be wasting your money and your time. And happy to have that debate because I know that can be a debate too. And then external linking, like linking outbound linking, it's great. If it adds value to your users, great. If that means more people are going to engage in your content and find you more helpful because you also link to this other stuff, great. It doesn't help you rank though. You want people to come, right? Like it still is is on you to create amazing content and amazing site. If your strategy is to link to great sites, well, why don't you just send your business to those great sites, right? Like your strategy needs to be, you need to create something worthwhile for people to come to. You can think of the analogy like an event. Like, can I make a great event by telling everyone to go to the other event? Like, no one will come to my event. And if all my event is a sign, go there, like it's not really gonna drive the type of growth or movement or impact you want. I don't do Facebook marketing, Facebook ads, or AdWords. I do have an AdWords partner that I've done close work with. He's incredibly talented. We do a lot of partner projects with. So if you're looking to do an AdWords and SEO, we partner like a lockstep, if you will. We have several clients that we just lockstep. We work on. He works with my team, all that. His name is Benji. Happy to introduce you or talk more about that. We don't do AdWords. We don't do Facebook ads. We're trying to be real focused as an agency.
And so just to clarify that, and by focusing, you've become very good at what you do, and you're really focused on, and I know it was Adrian who asked that question. Adrian, it's really just that organic marketing where you're going to invest into your own website, and through the organic searches, people will find you. Mm-hmm. There's some private questions I'm getting that aren't going to you, Nate, and so I'm going to jump back, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to jump in here. It says, how do you create certified content on niche topics you're not personally familiar with?
Yeah. So you need to have a reasonable level of experience with content in order to create, or topics to create good content. You need a certain level of experience. So if you don't have that experience, you need to find someone that has it, hire someone that has it, learn it a little bit to a degree. The great thing is, the amazing thing is that this research process of again, we call it search intelligence. The search intelligence process of investigating the very best on a topic and then trying to create content that's as good as and then better than them, you learn a lot about that topic, and you're learning from the best. And so if you use that search intelligence to guide your outline and your structure, you can do really well. I'll give you an example. Some of our clients have extremely niche topics that we have never worked with before. Technical topics. We have a few clients that sell a technical product to developers. So they're writing about technical topics because that's what developers are searching. And so there was, of course, a lot of doubt initially, always is like, oh, can you write great content? Because you need a high degree of expertise. So we find writers that have, well, so our editors on staff, our freelance writers, we have, that's our bread and butter, right? So we're finding editors that have similar experience or some degree of experience, but because of this search intelligence process, we found we don't need to find that one editor, because finding the guy that's really good at the topic and a good writer, like it's so hard, right? So hard. Someone that's good at the topic and can write words that are worth reading and then can work through an editorial process to create exceptional content, very rare. So we don't have to find that needle in the haystack, that person for every topic, because with a reasonable degree of experience combined with the search intelligence, we can create exceptional content. And so we find time and again, even with extremely shrewd and selective and picky clients, not only do they come to really, find our content as high quality, they actually come to lean on us for insights and guidance. So all that to say, for your question, how do you write about that niche? Well, you need to have some degree of experience or just related or similar experience. But if you're really researching and trying to create content as good as and then better than the competitors, you've got a lot of context because you're studying the 3 to 5 URLs that are the very best for that topic already. And if you're studying those, you're studying excellent material, and you can then create, material that's better than you. Another way to think of it is take the outlines of those 3 to 5 pieces of content, smash them together, slim them down, and that can be your outline. Then improve it, iterate. You don't want to copy content, of course. You don't want to just, kind of be generic, so you really need to still give it some really good, careful thought. But that's a really strong start. Lots more questions. I'll keep going.
All right.
How can you compete with the winning pages and organic rankings if you do not spend any money in Google? To answer that quickly, you do not need to spend money in paid search to win organic rankings. You do not need to spend money in paid search. What you do need, though, and something we haven't talked about a lot, is you do need a reasonably strong brand. If your website is brand new, nobody knows who you are, nobody's searching for you are. If you're trying to, sell a product nationally, nobody knows who you are nationally at all. Like I'm talking zero, or like, maybe your family here and a few clients. Or if you're local and you do need a degree of reach, because Google is able to sass out like, hey, there is brand search related for this. People go to online and they go to your website. They go directly to your website. They type your brand name into Google. That brand strength does influence. And so if you have zero brand strength, if you will, zero, you will have a hard time. That's one of those foundational factors that we'd look at and consider. And you can buy that through advertising, and you can be shrewd about that through advertising, and that starts to get complicated. But if you have zero brand strength, you can't just stand up a brand new website and do this process. You're going to have a much harder time doing this process on a brand new site. But any degree of an established brand strength that people are seeking you out already online is part of the foundation that we think is needed. Okay. Can you address how it is best for local consumer businesses, B2C, small businesses, dentists, self-storage owners, realtors, best compete at SEO? On the local scene, you have to compete with national brands. Absolutely. Yelp, Zillow, Yellow Pages, as well as other small businesses. How do you get into Google My Business Optimization or local listings management? Okay. Yeah, two great questions here. So we talked a little bit about that local question. I think I addressed that earlier. Happy to talk more about it. The second question about listing management, we don't do a lot of it. We just, it's not something we pursued, but when we do listing management, here's my recommendation. Use Moz Local. And Moz Local is there. If you heard of something called the Yext, I hate with a passion Yext, Y-E-X-T. They're a sham, and if you're paying Yext right now, get out of it as soon as you can. They overcharge, and they really basically they do a number of things that I would consider shady to try to hook you in and make you stay with them forever. YEXT, I'm really not happy with them as a business for local listings management. I'll throw that out there for you. Moz Local is great, is wonderful. I followed Moz for years. I'm sure you've heard of Moz as a SEO, tool set. Moz Local is great. Even just their basic listing management is great. I see they've upped the price. It used to be like 80 or 90 bucks. They're up to 130 bucks. Okay, it's still not bad. A year, not bad at all. For local listing management, buy this, pay for it every year, and local listing management is very rote. You do this, do that, do this, do that, add pictures, add images, fill in the blanks. And so if you go through Moz, do everything they recommend for you. Might be a half day of work, and you can pay others to do it. You can pay us to do it. Sure, you can do that too. But this is exactly what we do. Like, this is exactly what we do with local listing management. Get the basic, maybe the plus, get it, just do everything they tell you to do, connect every listing, fix all your duplicates. Sometimes those are a little time consuming and annoying to fix duplicate listings and such. And just, always create stuff. Don't just drop in text because they say, hey, put in a description. Make sure it's a great description that really sells you and the benefits of you and your company. Just follow what they say. That's what you do for local listing management. And that's it. There's no other tricks here. There's no like, oh, hey, if you just use a keyword perfectly, this, that, or the other, you're going to get better rankings. Nope. It's part of one of those traditional ranking factors. Do this, do everything here because it's good best practice to do, and it's not an endless pit of best practice to do. It's a reasonable degree of work that is valuable to you. Do everything they say here, and that's it. That's my advice. That's how I approach local listing management, what's worth doing. Any tips on getting and staying in the Google Map pack? My rankings in the last several weeks have bounced around way more than normal. I'm not an expert in that, and some people claim to be an expert in that, staying in the map pack. Here's how I view it. Google is looking at who's in the map pack and saying, okay, what happens next? People click on this result, and what do they do next? They go to Google, Maps. They then see your listing, which is, hey, your Google My Business listing, one of your local listings, and they either engage or don't engage. They get directions, they call you, they find out more, they click through more, or they don't, or they bounce back. So I would advise doing the same thing that we talked about earlier. Look at the people that are winning from the same view. Who's winning? Reverse engineer and try to understand why. What are they doing with their listing? I've got a logo, but they've got a smiling, happy face picture, picture of a smiling, happy customer. I've got a short little description that just kind of says, hey, we're great. They've got a little bit longer description and it really goes into more detail and hits some certain pain points or what have you. Do the same thing with your listing. Make your listing better than your competitor. Because I think that's coming to influence who's in the map pack a lot more, because that's how Google views it. Google doesn't look at it like, oh, who do I rank because you're a mile closer than the next guy? That's a ranking factor now, and it's not the driver of the winners. But rather, Google's looking at it and say, who's listing do people really engage with the most? And they have that data. They're tracking that data. All right. Continue on. I'm curious as to how what Brendan Daly asked may have changed over the last 2 years. What did Brendan Daly ask again? Oh, local businesses and Google My Listings. Okay. When I know when I had my SEO worked on steadily, I ranked over many of these big aggregators. I can think of Yelp, for instance. What about, in other words, what's the secret sauce to getting on the Google map? I also would appreciate an updated tip. Well, there you go. I just talked about that a little bit. I also will mention this phrase. They said, I had my SEO worked on steadily. I ranked over these guys. I would kind of take that phrase, and I'll be, be a little picky. I'm not trying to be picky, but the idea of like, how do I view the success? Like, I'm paying for SEO and I'm ranking well, therefore it's successful. I do not think that is a accurate or helpful way to view success. I'm ranking better than whatever, or I'm ranking well, because rankings mean nothing. They mean absolutely, positively nothing, or almost nothing. I won't go too far into that, another little, bunny trail topic, but rankings can be misleading. You rankings can go up and down, and it can be nothing more than Google messing with you. If you don't believe me, I will just pull it up for you. Look up Google, the rank modifying spammers patent. This is from like, I think, yeah, 2012. All right, this is kind of there's a few good articles about it. There's the patent itself. What does this mean? What does this patent say? This is 8 years old. Google's been doing this forever. And Google, what does this patent say? It's Google literally saying, we are right. This patent is us randomizing search ranking changes to throw you off. Oh my gosh, Google, stop. Hey, Google, stop. Hey, Google, stop. Oh, the joys of the modern life. This patent is saying basically, hey, if you change a keyword and you might get higher rankings because of that, we're not going to show you that higher ranking. We're going to randomly change your ranking for a random period of time. That's what this patent says. And I can tell you time and again, where you look at rankings on a big scale, on a small scale, and we're like, oh, look, rankings are going up. Maybe it never leads to traffic growth. Oh, look, rankings are going down. And traffic's still steady, or traffic's still going up. I've had pages getting 1,000 clicks a month before they showed up in rank tracking tools. I've had pages drop off the cliff in terms of traffic, and their rankings look the same. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. Rankings are just very misleading because of all these things. Google's not showing you like the top 100 results are not Google's pristine pure view of these are everything 1 to 100. They're not. All right, I went on a bunny trail like that. I just say, do not justify investment because of rankings. Do not spend money because rankings are still there. Spend money if you're getting traffic, leads, and revenue. You need to go all the way to revenue. And if your SEO group or agency or partner or consultant says, oh, that's really hard, I can't track it all the way to traffic, will happen later, or it's hard to figure it out to business or revenue, find a new partner. Whoever it is, I don't care who it is, but find a new partner, because rankings are not something worth paying for. All right.
All right, Nate, I have another question. This will clarify one of the earlier ones, but I'm also I'm gonna address the next one that you can see coming from Scott. I know this is Scott and Brian, his marketing guy, that they said that they've had a lot of success guest blogging on high traffic, high authority sites and linking keywords back to our money sites. I am still having a lot of success with this. Are you speaking about different kinds of link building? And I'm going to suggest that actually what they're doing here is they're piggybacking on the bigger site, and people are seeing their content there and then clicking through to them. That's not getting them the organic ranking that they're looking for. They're not going up. They're getting the traffic as a result of somebody else's high traffic site that people are clicking from to get through to them. Yeah. So Scott and Brian, if I'm wrong with that, can you just address that further? But the private question I had earlier was how do you create certified content on niche topics you're not personally familiar with? Based off of the new question, I understand where they were going with it now. They want to know if your team is willing to learn complex advanced tax strategies for real estate investors, because they want to be the best tax strategy content in the world. They want to have the best website for tax strategies. And so I guess they're asking from your perspective, is that something you are willing to do if they're going to hire you for that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll dig into those, and that's exactly what we do for a wide variety of topics. In fact, I have we have a variety of relevant experience as well. And that actually, if I may ask a favor of the group, if you would be willing to send me any feedback you have, because we just stood up these pages a few days ago, and I haven't gotten any feedback yet outside our company. But we do create certified content. That's like our bread and butter. It's a core of what we do. We do a ton of it, both on a one-off basis or ongoing campaigns. We do training to help clients do it as well. That's a big part of what we do. And I honestly love some feedback, especially we got this table where we just went out and we said, hey, what is certified content versus just, optimized content? We're taking our shot at the rest of the SEO industry, right? By kind of just delineating between the two. If you have any feedback, and shoot me an email or something, I'm Nate@profoundstrategy.com. I'd love it, because we just got this live. But yes, we do that. I can get you quotes. We can figure out process, figure out how much you're doing, everything such as that. We can start moving on that even today and get you some details. But yeah, I'd love to talk more about that. Yeah. And I really agree with Stephen, the way you kind of broke apart the question of guest blogging. And yeah, Scott, love to hear if it very specifically, are you seeing, referral traffic? Is it traffic growth in general? But really, is it referral? Is it direct traffic growth? Is it organic growth? And then also, if it's organic traffic growth, going to Search Console, Google Search Console, where you get keyword level data, is it branded traffic growth or non-branded traffic growth? And this is the whole series of questions to ask. Is it, of course, what channel is it? Is it organic specifically? And if it's organic, is it branded or non-branded? That's in Search Console. And then back to probably analytics or whatever mechanism you might use, is it also converting? And if you're seeing that guest blogging is leading to organic traffic growth that gives you money, then great. I would love to hear about it. I would honestly love to hear about it. Because every time I've kind of peeled that apart and critically kind of pulled apart across the layers, it's not working anymore today. And I've done that dozens of times. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a chance it's not still working, right? It certainly could still be happening. Yeah. Again, someone just asked company, and we are Profound Strategy. That's our name. I'm Nate at profoundstrategy.com. Yeah, happy to chat with any of you guys a little more. Google is psycho, someone wrote. That is very true. They're also psychic because they have so much data. They can predict what you're doing. Someone just, I'll type my email address in there in the chat as well. Oh, that's privately. Let me go ahead and type my email address into the chat since I didn't have a slide with that, but happy to chat more. There are a couple other questions.
So there's one here. Where should the content go on your site? The pages can get too full. Are you suggesting more of a blog style of adding a bunch of content to the site?
Sure.
Or bottom line is, where should the content go on a site?
Yeah, well, again, it really does go back to the research. If you are seeing blog posts always rank, then go ahead and blog, certainly, and use it in your blog. We're generally seeing a trend that the less time-sensitive content, like a blog has like this time-sensitive nature associated with it. There's a date. It's a blog. It's like it's old after a while, right? We're seeing, in general, a trend we're seeing is that an article that's just an article on its own, right? It doesn't have, and maybe even doesn't have a publish date on it, or the publish date's just at the bottom, not a big part of it. Those can do well. It can do a little better because, a blog seems older faster, it seems. But in reality, any website can have as many pages as you want on it. Like you've paid websites with millions of pages on it, and it's not overwhelming. So it really you need to just continue to structure your site and grow it as you grow your content, right? Maybe at first your resources page or your article library, or I don't like to name things based on like what type, like I don't like to name pages like webinars, ebooks, because people don't look for a webinar or an ebook. They're looking for solutions to problems, right? So try to name stuff in that way. A resource library is a good place to kind of house that, give people a starting point, and then let them navigate from there. Right now we have this page started out, 4 years ago with like 2 PDFs, right? and it just grows, and now we have a couple more layers to it because we're just adding to it over time as we publish more content, and when we actually have time to do our own, we add to it. So it can allow, you're gonna need to find smart ways to put it. The answer, I guess, is it depends. Also, sometimes there's content, like there might be a need that aligns with one of your like primary sales pages, right? This is what we do, and for you, it's just for this user need, it aligns to one of my primary sales pages. Like it's not always just, oh, you just blog for SEO. It really, like, what is the best page, and then, okay, where am I going to put that page? How am I going to blend it in to my overall website strategy?
So I'm guessing, and I'm going to read a little bit into the question, that now that we're trying to identify a user need and we don't want to try to address more than one user need per page, that question was probably coming from that angle, that I need to just create another page. And instead of me driving people to the main homepage of my website, I may be driving them just to one article. And that's what I'm hoping, is that one article will show up in the web search, not my homepage. And then from there, I can draw people into other parts of my site. But each user need that you're addressing should be done with a different content, or with different content that will get them into your site. And then from there, you hope to move them to other parts. Would that be the way things would work today? Because we're not taking them to the homepage anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, because your homepage can't meet every user need, for sure. And maybe your homepage can meet one or two, or I'm sorry, no, just one. Perhaps your user need could meet, your homepage could meet a user need real well. But really, for each user need, yes, you need a page that's focused on that user need. And even more so, when you're thinking about content, I believe each piece of content you have should have one primary goal. So if you're looking at this and thinking, like, sometimes you start to think, hey, I'm doing social too, I'm doing email too, I'm doing all this. What if I make a page that does this, but also is perfect for social media and all sorts of crazy viral social media engagement, plus it'll really engage my email? I think each piece of content can play multiple roles, but is best when it's focused on doing one role the best, one primary goal for the page. So primary goal, is it to rank well, or is it to sell something, right? And if it's to rank well, devote everything to ranking well, that page ranking well. And then, certainly link people to calls to actions and next steps to get them to your sales page, etc. And maybe you can rank a page that sells, but each page should have one primary goal, because when you start to do 2 or 3 or 4 things with a page, it starts to do none of them real well. But yeah, you really does need, a page for each user need. Absolutely.
All right, Nate, I have a different kind of question for you, and this just has more to do with maybe a tip or something that people can learn from you. You're in a world of internet marketing, and there's so many different things that people can do. And at some point or another, you've probably dibble-dabbled in a lot of different types of marketing, but you have made the decision to focus. And that's one thing that I'm continuously trying to help our clientele do, is pick something you're good at and focus.
Yeah.
How hard was it for you to make that decision to let go of different other types of things that you could have been pursuing? You could try to be all things to all people and run their entire marketing department, but instead you've decided to focus on one thing. Was that a hard decision, and how did you come to that decision?
Oh, Stephen, they're going to think we conspired together before this call, but let me tell you, it is so hard, right? And it's hard every day. We've had clients offer us large, potentially lucrative contracts. Hey, just do this. You can do it well. I've had clients try to talk me into doing so many things, do Facebook marketing, do a little paid search, do this on the side, do this as well. You can do it. You've got a team that can do it. I trust you, literally, here's the money, here's the contract, and I have staff, we've got 20 staff, and my most seasoned, experienced staff that I lean on and look to consistently is still saying, and has for a while, and really I think we've found good alignment now, but for years said, well, when are we going to do social media marketing? When are we going to do paid search? When are we going to do webinar management? We should manage webinars. We're great at that. That'd be, when are we going to, and all of that was so tempting. It's always, I think the biggest thing is it's always the grass is greener. Oh, I'm having a challenge here, but that looks so easy. I'll just do that too. Well, guess what? There's the same challenges there. And then you got 2 sets of challenges, not one. It's the best. I've heard that advice time and again. It took a long time for it to sink in. It still is something we grapple with. I'm doing something now. We're expanding to do some call to action and conversion testing as a new kind of product offering that we're rolling out to existing clients. We'll roll out, because a lot of our clients got tons of SEO traffic, and we've actually lost clients because they're like, great, way too much traffic. We're going to go work with other people now to convert it. Like, oh, we just worked ourselves out of a job, right? So we've made the decision, we're going to do some conversion testing. We're going to do CTAs. We're going to help people convert this, this traffic, and we're going to build a product around it, do it really well. But that took me like a year and a half of like, I actually was like, no, I don't want to do that because I want to stay focused. And finally realizing, yeah, I think that is within the circle of what we need to do. But it was like, I came to it reluctantly. And that was a real change, like, yeah, we are going to add this on. We have to add this on. It's part of the core, right? And it's the core. We're going to only do the core. We can give you all the advice in the world and all our opinions that we have, or the advice we don't have. We can tell you we don't have any experience, or everything else around that, but we're only going to do the core. And we saw it happen in our industry as well, where studies came out like, hey, companies are looking for agencies that are specialists. I hear it time and again where we're like, oh yeah, well, for a medium company, or even smaller companies too, any small business too, this can happen. Oh, we've got this agency, they were doing our paid social, they did great, or they did great with our website, so we had them do paid advertising and paid search and Facebook and this, that, and the other. And turns out they were great at building the website, and they're okay at one of those things and bad at the rest of them, right? So then they have a bad experience. And so, yeah, people do like, for us, it's like, well, sometimes there's conflicting forces. Clients want fewer partners, they want to work with just one partner, to do all the things sometimes, right? So sometimes it's like, oh, clients want one partner. Let's do all the things they want and get all that revenue, right? But then there's another force, that says they want specialized expertise. They want to know that if you're going to do it, you're going to do it really well. And you got to really work at something to do it really well and efficiently and effectively and all that. So anyway, yes, focus is great. It is always painful in the moment, but if you focus and get good at it and continue to sell and promote and market yourself well, it really, really pays off.
That's awesome. Well, Nate, I thank you so much for spending the time here with us today. I'm sure that, we're going to get more questions as a result of this, and I'd love to have you back some other time to just, continue to share. But if you can, just one last time, give everybody your contact information. And because I've already been getting texts and messages here of people who have said that they would like to work with you. So if you want to give them your contact information again.
Sure. Is chat good? I'm embarrassed because I should have had a slide with this ready to go. I'll put it in the chat as well, and maybe feel free to send it out after the meeting too.
We are going to include it on our website. The resources that you sent to us are going to be put out there with the recording of this video to the whole community. So that will be out there as well. But it is profoundstrategy.com. You can reach him through there as well. Nate, thank you very much.
You bet, guys. Thanks. And happy to even just shoot the breeze on any of these topics if you want to reach out. And really appreciate this. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for letting me talk a lot.
All right. Have an awesome day. Take care.
Bye, guys.